Good morning. All right, so this video is on adding and subtracting fractions and mixed numbers. We are not going to be having to borrow. So this should be a review from 5th grade math. So we're going to go to the first step. Step 1, rewrite the problem vertically. So first of all, that is horizontal, that is vertical. So vertical means with the first number on the top and the other number underneath. Rewrite the problem vertically using a common denominator with equivalent fractions. The best way to do that and the fastest way to do that is to make a division ladder and put both denominators inside the ladder to find the least common multiple, which is going to be your least common denominator. If you don't do that, you're often going to have to reduce your fraction when you get your answer. Usually, if you start off with a least common denominator, you will not have to reduce your answer. Okay, so going back to step 1, rewrite the problem vertically. So that means we're going to put the 3/4 up here, and we're going to put the 1/6 underneath it. So that's vertical. So this is horizontal, and this is vertical, up and down. All right, next, make a division ladder and put both denominators inside your ladder. So I'm going to slide over here to the side. I'm going to put 4 and 6 inside my ladder. Those are two even numbers, so I'm going to divide by 2. 4 divided by 2, 6 divided by 2. I'm going to highlight my L. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. If you didn't do that, I think a lot of you would have multiplied your denominators 4 times 6 and you would have used 24 as a denominator. Then you would have had to reduce your fraction. So that's about a 3-second way to quickly find the least common denominators, so we won't have to reduce. So now we have to write equivalent fractions using a common denominator. So we now know that our denominator is going to be 12. So for 3/4, I know that 4 times 3 is 12, and 3 times 3 is 9. 6 times 2 is 12, and 1 times 2 is 2. So to write your equivalent fractions, you're first of all going to determine what do I have to multiply my denominator times to get my least common denominator. You simply multiply the numerator by that same number. So now we're looking at the problem 9/12 plus 2/12. So the denominator does not change. You do not add your denominators. That just stays at 12. And now I'm looking at my numerators. I'm going to add 9 plus 2, which is 11. Then I have to look at my fraction and be sure that it's not improper. So the numerator must be smaller than the denominator, and it is, and it cannot be reduced. So the final answer on that one is 11/12. Okay, so down here, step 2, add or subtract the numerators. The denominator stays the same. Check to see if your answer is improper. If it is, you need to simplify. All right, so let's look at number 1. First step, put your denominators inside a ladder. 3 and 5 are both prime numbers. So we're actually going to multiply those, and my denominator is going to be 15. So remember, we're going to rewrite our problem vertically with the first fraction on the top and the second fraction underneath. So now I know that I have to use 15 as my least common denominator. So this is writing equivalent fractions. So for 2/3, 3 times what is 15? 3 times 5 is 15. So you're going to use a common multiplier to determine what your numerator would be. So 2 times 5 is 10. On the bottom, 5 times what is 15? 5 times 3. So if you multiply the denominator by 3, you have to multiply your numerator by 3. So that's going to be 9. All right, next, add or subtract your numerators. So now we have 10 plus 9. So 10 plus 9 is 19. The denominator stays the same. Now, this is an improper fraction. Improper fractions, remember that we've learned that the fraction bar means division. So this fraction is actually asking, what is 19 divided by 15? Well, 15 can't go into 1. 15 goes into 19 once. 1 times 15 We subtract and get 4. Now, watch carefully what I'm going to do. This remainder becomes the numerator in your mixed number. So my numerator is going to be a 4. The denominator was already 15. The denominator is going to stay 15. So my final answer, 1 4/15. Remember, you can pause the video at any time. If I'm going a little too quickly, you can pause it and go back and rewatch. So let's take a look at number 2. Rewrite your problem vertically. So 7/8 on the top. So watch your signs. This one is subtracting. Put your denominators inside a ladder. So again, on this one, I think some of you might have multiplied your denominators and you might have used 32 as a denominator. But let's see how long this takes to make a division ladder. Four times 1 times 2 is 8. That took about 7 seconds to figure out our least common denominator. So taking the 7 seconds in the front of the problem is going to save you a lot of time in the back of the problem because now we don't have to keep reducing. All right, so my common denominator is 8. So since 8 times 1 is 8, 7 times 1 is 7. For my 1/4, 4 times 2 is 8, and 1 times 2 is 2. Next step, check your numerators, and this is subtraction. So 7 minus 2 is 5, and the denominator stays the same. So that answer would be 5/8. So if you need to go back and rewatch that, you can pause or rewind. Okay, we're going to try 2 more together. So this is a mixed number. Remember, a mixed number has a whole number in front of the fraction. So 4 7/10 minus, make sure you always watch your signs, 4 7/10 minus 3 2/5. Step 1, rewrite your problem vertically. So 4 7/10 goes on the top, 3 2/5 goes on the bottom. Then we're going to make a division ladder. So we're going to put 10 and 5 inside a ladder. We're going to divide by 5. That's 1. That's 2. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. So otherwise, I think some of you might have used 50 as your common denominator. We do not want to use a denominator that big because then you're going to have to keep reducing when you finish your math. So since my denominator is a 10, my 4 7/10 is going to stay the same. But down here, I'm going to have to change my 5 to a 10. So I'm looking right down here at my 5 and my 10. So since 5 times 2 is 10, I'm going to multiply 2 times 2 to get 4. All right, so now I'm looking at this problem right here. There's a lot of work with these problems. 4 7/10 minus 3 4/10. Well, first of all, check your numerators. Can you take 4 away from 7? Yes, 4 is smaller than 7. So 7 minus 4 is 3. The denominator stays at 10. And look at your whole numbers. 4 minus 3 is 1. So that answer is 1 3/10. All right, next one. So first step, rewrite your problem vertically. So the first number always goes on the top. The second number always goes on the bottom. Now we're going to take 15 and 5 and put it in a ladder. We do not want to multiply those. You do not want to use 75 as your common denominator. So divide by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 15 divided by 5 is 3. Multiply. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 3 is 15. All right, so my 2 14/15 can stay the same. But down here, I'm going to have to change my 5 to a 15. So I'm looking right here at my denominators. Remember, I have to write an equivalent fraction. So 5 times what is 15? 5 times 3. So up here, I'm going to multiply 3 times 3. This is subtraction, so check your numerators. Can you take 9 away from 14? Yes, 9 is smaller than 14. So 14 minus 9 is 5. Denominator stays 15, and 2 minus 1 is 1. Now we have to check something really carefully. Look at my fraction. Isn't 5 a factor of 15? Can't that be reduced? Yes. I'm going to make another division ladder, and I'm going to put my numerator and my denominator inside my ladder. I'm going to divide by 5. And this answer down here is your fraction reduced to lowest terms. So 1 and 5/15 reduces to 1 and 1/3. All right, so now it says, now you try. So go ahead and pause the video. Go ahead and try numbers 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 on your own. And then you're going to come back and you're going to check my work with yours and see how you did.